podcast. I am Peepaw Riveter. My co-host is the one and only Banana Grabber.
40-year-old man who goes to CC's Pizza.
Goes to CC.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that, dude. CC Pizza is okay. I mean,
I'm addicted to macaroni pizza. I'm so sue me. Yeah.
I used to take my kids there, all the time, and they love CC's Pizza. Me personally, I thought it was total garbage, and
how dare you?
I would actually rather go to like
F's in the chat for a Riveter's reputation. He doesn't like CC's Pizza. Cancelled.
Cancel. Based Peepaw.
Based and red pilled.
Based Peepaw does not like CC's Pizza. I would rather go eat Chuck E. Cheese pizza, even though there is some theories out there that possibly they may use leftover mismatched pizzas and put them together. Did you ever see that Shane Dawson conspiracy video that he did about the damn pizza? Did you ever see that?
No, I didn't. But real quick, your mic needs to come up. You're very quiet again.
Oh, God. Okay.
Welcome to the show, Abby Blackbird, Nerdy John. Nice to have you guys. Thank you for joining us.
Hopefully it's better.
Guys, tell us in the chat if the audio is good, if one of us needs to come up now.
Yeah. I don't know. Here lately, it's like when I get into a Discord and I'm just talking, hanging out with people, they say my mic's too low or my mic's too loud. And so
it sounds hot in here, but it's very quiet on the show, which is weird.
Really? Huh.
Yeah, so I just turn you down. It's fine. But I'd rather them be able to hear you because it is very quiet.
Okay, let me see what filters I have.
Okay, Nerdy John says we're both good.
Okay. Well, hey, and if Nerdy John says we're good, then I have to be good, right? Because he's a professional.
Yeah,
he's a professional. He's a 1,000 plus YouTuber, and
congratulations to him.
Yeah, I can't compete with that shit, right? So.
Oh, we're coming for him. Don't worry.
Oh, we're coming for him. Okay.
Well, you're just gonna roll over and let Nerdy John take up all the subs?
Hang on though. I don't know if we can come. This is Pride Month, so I don't think we can go after him, man.
No, that's true. It's his month.
It is his month. It is his people's month. So
okay. Well, happy Pride Month to all of our LGBTQ AI plus or whatever listeners and viewers. Not a joke.
No,
I guess if that's important to you.
No. Yeah. I don't know why we have to limit our acknowledgement of them to just 1 month. I actually, my friends, the people that I know,
celebrate them all year.
Yeah, that are I acknowledge them all 12 months. So anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you think okay? So Miss Blackbird thinks that we should put our names below our and I can do that, sure, 100%. I will work on that for you. So
his name is Old Man.
Peepaw Riveter. Yeah, I'll have to get.
What should we legalize, Abby? Fake ass twat says he is our tribal chief.
Well,
and now we need to acknowledge him as such.
All right, fine. Fake ass twat is my tribal chief. That's fine.
I thought he was your boyfriend though.
Well, we don't know because he's unconfirmed gay.
Oh.
So until he confirms it, we don't know if he's actually a boyfriend or not. So.
Boyfriend.
Fake ass twat. Before we start today's show and get into stuff, I just wanted to let Ms. Mr., Mrs., they, them, I don't know how they identify, but this show is going out to Shens Harrell because they commented on our tweet that we put it out about the show. And they said, oh, now the analyzers are going to analyze the analyzers. Wow. LMAO, that's lettuce, mayonnaise, and onions, by the way. This is going to get way ridiculous. Can't you find something other than taking your damn total unexpert opinion? I don't know if we ever claimed to be experts all we do is
she's just reminding us.
Okay. Well, thanks. Thanks for reminding us that we're not experts.
In case we forgot to keep us on there,
And go analyze maybe grapes, huh? Go do that. Jeez.
I actually like grapes, but they are a bit sugary. Like, I'm not a big fan of green grapes. Yeah. Like red grapes are fine. Yeah. There's the purple ones. Green ones are weird because they're like a little sour, aren't they?
I like them after they're fermented. But
there you go.
I don't necessarily like them. Yeah.
The tannins. Oh God, the tannins.
But anyway,
I can't stand the vinegary taste of that.
Yeah. But anyway, Shens Harrell, this show's for you.
Number one fan.
Number one fan. Yes, we got a new number one.
We're doing reactions cubed, according to Nerdy John.
A reaction to a reaction to a reaction. Exactly.
Yeah.
So we do have a little bit of a what would you call update? Yeah, an update. Okay. So back, I think we first started talking about this whole deal going back last year, and this was about Todd Chrisley. And Todd Chrisley.
Because to be quite honest with you, nobody buys their fuckery.
Oh well, I know nobody buys their fuckery, Todd, but we got to discuss it anyway. And so anyway, this happened. So there, the trial that he and his wife Julie are going through right now has kicked off, and they are currently facing. This is a criminal trial. This is not a, he's got a civil case
civil.
Pending against.
The civil case is Katie Joy, right?
Yes, he does have a civil case pending against Katie Joy. They're still in the what they call it, the discovery mode and all that kind of stuff, right? Katie Joy's fighting discovery. That's going to take some time. It's going to take some time because Katie Joy's fighting it or whatever. But anyway, no, this here is actually a criminal case because Todd and his wife are facing embezzlement and tax evasion and bank fraud.
There we go.
Okay.
No, not all that money.
No, I don't. Okay,
Chrisley.
Yeah. So Abby Blackbird says, "Was Katie Joy right?" That's kind of yet to be determined because what happened was, and kind of a recaps of what happened is, they're currently could face up to 30 years in prison. So what happened was this all actually started. I think it was back in let's see here.
So that's interesting. If Katie Joy was right, so here's the interesting thing. Would it be defamation if she was right?
No,
but
defamation is a lie.
Huh?
Defamation is telling a lie.
Right. So she would have to have actual proof of them not paying their taxes and stuff like that. Correct. In order to make that claim. She would have to have knowledge. So if she was making it without the knowledge or the
sure. When like for example, when we talk about a story, we talk in a stance of, okay, these are the allegations and this is what's going on. Here's the information. Here's the website. Here's the news article. Here's whatever. Right? We
speculation plus opinion later.
Yes, we basically what we do is we take this information, we compile it. We present it in a hopefully an entertaining and concise manner as possible. Even though I know I do like to drove on or sometimes and just ramble on and stuff. But what happened is back in this happened back in 2012. What happened was there was this gentleman who, let's see, what was his name again? Let's see, Mark. I think it was Mark. What is his?
Surely not Zuckerberg.
No. Mark Braddock. I'm sorry. Mark Braddock was Todd Chrisley's like administrative assistant or like right hand man, right?
So like a personal assistant, PA.
Personal assistant, yes. Okay. And so what happened was.
Wait a minute. Is this going where I think it's going?
Well, we'll we're going to get into that.
Okay.
So what happened was in 2012, Todd threw Mark out of his office and called the police, which caused Mark to feel vengeful and started sending emails that led to him tipping off the FBI about Todd and his wife's criminal activity. Okay. But under oath this week, right, because the prosecution started presenting their case and calling their witnesses and stuff. And so when I say this week, it was actually last week. But anyway, what happened is this Mark Braddock, who was the right-hand man, testified that he and Todd had an affair for about a year and a half. For about a year, rather, in the early 2000s, right, before breaking it off. And after the affair ended, he claimed the pair stayed friends and formed a brotherhood and eventually helped him embezzle. So he's saying...
Brotherhood.
Yeah, so
the
he's...
Brotherhood of the touching dicks.
Yes, so anyway...
Abby Blackbird says, Julie Chrisley has always looked like a beard. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's what I said. Todd has a very particular way, allegedly. Todd has a very particular way of speaking and a cadence and tonality to his voice that would lead me to believe something's off about the man.
Yeah.
Not like in a negative way, just he's hiding some kind of dark secret.
Well, if it's not a homosexual lifestyle that's been closeted since he was a young man, it's definitely bodies somewhere buried, allegedly. Well, I've been very upfront, when we first started talking about Todd. The Chrisley Knows Best is one of those, as they say, guilty pleasures, I guess, that I enjoy watching them with my wife, and we've watched them from the get-go. And we've watched their kids grow up on that television show, right? And all the turmoil that he had with his daughter Lindsay, who he is currently estranged from, and his son, who has been documented on the television show and in numerous articles. His son has had an ongoing battle with addiction to drugs, and and so right now Todd and Julie are raising Todd's son by his first marriage, daughter, his granddaughter. Todd and Julie are raising their grandchild. But anyway, so
my guilty pleasure, so yours is the Chrisley family and their reality
probably
TV.
so. Yeah.
Mine would be it's called Little Women in Dallas.
Okay.
And it's a show about little people, women.
Yeah. I've seen it.
Women that are little people, and their drama throughout the city of Dallas. Yeah. And I can't help myself but just continue to watch the show, even if it's probably scripted and fake. Yeah. It's so like white trash.
But now hang on a second. Now you live in that general vicinity, right? Mm-hmm. In that area, right? It's not.
Yeah, I know where they're going. I'm like, that's the bar on whatever 7th Street.
Do you ever go out and try to
Did you look for them?
Yeah.
Scope like little people watching.
Well, now some of them women are single, right?
Oh, okay. I see where you're going. No.
Hey,
not my type.
What do you mean not your type?
I'm not into dwarf tossing, so.
I don't think God dang. I don't think. Oh, geez, I can't even. I'm not even going to. God Almighty.
It's a great show, though. If you like a train wreck.
Yeah.
And then that one in what's the other one? My Strange Addiction. There's a lady that eats diapers, and that's that one is. I can't stop watching that one either. You
need help.
Well, yeah, that's obvious.
You need some help, dude.
Was that not plainly obvious for everyone to see?
I don't know if it was plainly obvious, but
there's another guy that has a whole house full of the pool toys, and so but he can't get over. I think he's a veteran, and but he just can't. He's like, if I were to get rid of all my pool toys, I don't know what I would do. And his family's like, for the love of God, please get rid of the giant octopus in your living room made out of plastic. And he's like, no. And he's sitting there walking around the house like this little flamingo life preserver around his stomach. It's fucking hilarious. It's the funniest shit.
So we've established that we both have our little guilty pleasures that we like to
sadistic,
watch. The train wrecks.
People.
Yeah, the train wrecks. Well, I don't know. Here's the thing. I don't know if the Chrisleys necessarily are horrible people or not. I know there's some really bad things being written about them.
I love the dynamics between the family, like who's doing what and like what they're up to. Like, so like even with the show being as scripted as it is, you can see it kind of under the mask a little bit, what's going on there. And that always fascinates me with like powerful families that are like, but they aren't even like, they're not white glove society, if that's the word still.
Sure.
Of like these people, they're like, blue bloods. They're like, they're the outsider plutocrats. They're like the rich people that were like self-made. So they're still white trash.
Yeah.
So it's fascinating. I love it. I'm here for it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But anyway, kind of continuing on a little bit here. I got a little bit more on that.
Hold on, I'm going to pause. Nerdy John says, I remember there was a lady who ate her husband's ashes. What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What? I have to watch that episode. What does she do when they're all gone? Does she go find another body?
Marries someone else.
Another one. Oh, there's a pattern.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know if she waits. What's the death toll on that?
I don't know.
She could be a what is it called? Is it a Black Widow? Or just a widow?
Yeah, I seen one of those episodes, and it was a woman who couldn't stop eating. What was it, like glass plates and shit, or something like that? It was glass of some kind, but
I just can't help it. I have to eat talcum powder.
Yeah,
I don't know what it's about. Yeah. Probably somebody like their uncle raped them or something. I don't know. Some dark shit, some evil dark shit there. That's like, because that's not that's not one of your run of the mill problems. Like, it's not like, what about Bob, where he's afraid to walk into the elevator because he's agoraphobic. Yeah. You're addicted to eating fucking baby powder. Something's just horribly wrong. Anyways, I apologize. I derailed this too long.
Anyway, there's a little bit more on the Todd Chrisley thing. They also had the beloved patriarch of the Chrisley family, Nanny Faye.
Okay, Nanny Faye looks like she has a prosthetic mask on. She does not look real.
She doesn't. She is real. And I tell you, and I think this is probably why I love this show the most. Nanny Faye reminds me of my granny. Just her mannerisms, the way she says things, the way she does things. She just reminds me of my granny. And I think that's probably one of. But anyway, in this article by The Insider, it goes on to say that it talks about some of the correspondence, or the not the correspondence, but the conversation that occurred on her testimony between her and the prosecuting attorney and stuff. And it came out in here that the prosecuting attorney brought forth evidence where evidently they had. When all this stuff happened and they were facing bankruptcy, if I hope I'm not misstating anything wrong here, because I don't want Todd coming after me like he has done Crystal Ball here. Todd. Yeah.
Keep up the good work.
But they showed, essentially they presented her with a list of financial records that said she was the owner of the Seven Seas production company, and a loan out company where the family was paid for the reality TV show. She said she might have signed them, but she didn't know anything about their content. She says, I don't read any of it. And it says federal prosecutors have accused Faye Chrisley's son Todd and his wife Julie, who starred in the USA Network reality series Chrisley Knows Best, of evading taxes and operating a conspiracy to defraud banks by making it appear that they were wealthier than they were.
They made their mom a patsy.
Well,
That's
it's
gross.
Yeah.
Oh, that poor woman.
Yeah.
So she, like, that's the plausible deniability angle. They're just like, hey, mom, sign all these documents. What's this about? Nothing. Don't worry about it. It's just some, stupid show contract. And it turns out they're, using her as a patsy for embezzlement. Oh, that sucks.
Yeah. It's kind of setting her up as the.
You're like, I guarantee you, Todd. Fuck, this is gonna get dark. Todd's like, she gonna die anyway soon, so we'll just put it on her. If anything goes to court,
well,
we'll take Gma.
Either that, or maybe not that, but maybe there was a thought there that, well, because of her age, they won't.
Alleged.
Well, she wouldn't face as stiff a punishment. You know what I'm saying?
No, I know. That's me like speculating on if this was true.
Yeah.
Like that's the conversation that would happen. Yeah. It's kind of funny, but not that funny at all. Like, you know what I mean? It's like one of those things. It's like, it's funny because Todd's the type of guy to, he seems like, I don't know, just the type of ladder climbing, wannabe millionaire. But, yeah.
One of the responses that Nanny Faye gave to the prosecuting attorney, she said, "Honey, I have never been involved with nothing except be a signer."
Well, then you're involved. I mean,
Faye Chrisley told you, Assistant U.S. Attorney Annalise Peters, "I have never owned it, and I don't want it." At one point in her testimony, the federal judge Eleanor Ross, this is what I found so just. I got tickled. Said at one point in her testimony, federal judge Eleanor Ross telling Fanny Chrisley to stop referring to Peters, a professional in the courtroom, as honey. And so Peter says, "I'm used to it. I didn't even notice." Peter said, smiling. "Not in this courtroom. No," Ross added.
So the judge isn't fucking around. Ross isn't fucking around. She's trying to.
Yeah, the judge.
She's not going to let her get away with acting like a, unaware Southern old grandma. Like, she's going to be like, no, this is some serious prodding.
Yeah, it is. But I don't think referring to, I mean, okay. The
libertarian in me is screaming right now saying, "You stole from a bank, go Todd." Like, but then again, he's a rich guy that's a millionaire.
But I understand. But I don't think Nanny Faye, if she's referring to someone as honey or whatever, I don't think that's being intentionally disrespectful, or is it trying to come off as some uneducated, Southern granny that doesn't have any. I actually think that's. At least I feel that's just the way she is. If you get to
your grandma, though, she'd be real nice.
Yeah, but think of. Just stop for a second. If you have a conversation with people of a certain age demographic, right, that are in the South, they refer especially Southern women will refer to people as honey or child, right? And Southern men refer to darling or
honey, baby, sweetheart.
Honey, yeah. And it is not anything to be, it's not as to be belittling or demeaning or anything of that nature. It's just part of. Old men are okay, especially Southern men. Old Southern men are as flirtatious as
Southern
hell.
women, buddy. Southern women, they'll be like, "How you doing, sweetheart, honey, baby."
Yeah. So
those baby mamas that are some of my customers. Yeah.
Yeah. So
chat me up.
Yeah, I don't really necessarily see
big strong man to come home.
Yeah, I just really didn't see.
No.
So anyway,
you don't want to take care of your kid, ma'am.
Yeah. So let's get into the main focus of our show today, which is we're going to talk about
Amber Turd.
Well, no, we're not really going to be talking. Here's the thing: we're going to talk about the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial, but we're not going to go into all the stuff. Listen, if you're wanting to know what happened in the trial, if you want to talk about the verdict, if you want to talk about all that stuff, I would highly recommend you go check out these channels. Emily D. Baker, Legal Bites, Rakita Law, The Umbrella Guy. There's 4 right there. I've named off the top, 5 that I named off the top of my head that has extensive coverage, and they're lawyers. Well, everybody but the Umbrella Guy, but Rakita, Emily D. Baker, Legal Bites, they're lawyers, and they did an excellent job of breaking down the testimony every day, and they did a great job of explaining exactly what was going on, why the attorneys were objecting, and how they present. They do an excellent job, right? Yeah. Because they're attorneys. They know what the hell they're talking about. We're not going to talk about that, okay? We're not going to cover that. What we're going to focus on is the complete and total assery. I think that's probably a good term. Asshattery that occurred post reading.
What's a hat store called?
I'm sorry, what?
Question for the chat. What's a hat store called?
What's a hat circle?
Hat store. I you know what? Never mind.
Okay, I don't know.
Yeah, sorry. My bad.
So anyway, but There were, we're going to focus on two reporters and one article. And the main focus is going to be on this quote unquote reporter, Taylor Lorenz.
Taylor Lorenz. Yeah.
Taylor Sweet Little Lies Lorenz. And now her and what is this other chick's name? Find it.
While you're looking for that, Abby Blackbird says in chat, I used to work at Cracker Barrel. I learned that cadence at Cracker Barrel. Oh yeah, did you know that Cracker Barrel just lost a lawsuit to a customer for serving bleach in a glass?
No,
like Brax or some shit.
No.
Yeah, dude, almost killed somebody.
That's
and then
horrible.
Cracker Barrel also fired Brad's wife. If y'all remember Brad's wife.
Yeah. There was a big social media.
Why did you fire Brad's wife?
Yeah, wasn't there like
sons of bitches.
Wasn't there like a big social media thing?
There was a
back in the
huge
day?
national campaign to get
Yeah.
Brad's wife rehired, or at least have Cracker Barrel take responsibility for firing Brad's wife after how many years of service she had given them. Those sons of fucking bitches.
The other reporter is Kat Tenenbarge. So,
oh joy.
Anyway, so our
squad.
Our first
the disinformation squad.
The disinformation squad. So our first dive into this is this came across my feed. I'd never heard of this article before, or this magazine. It's called The Root. I don't know if any of you guys have out there have heard about this either, but it caught my eye. It said Amber Heard verdict sends a message to black women everywhere. And so I was like, that didn't make any sense to me. I was like, how in the world is that sending a message to black women everywhere, right? So I did what I think normal person would do. I clicked on the link. And so here's the article. And it says, Amber Heard's verdict sends a message to black women everywhere. If the mistreatment of a wealthy, blonde-haired, blue-eyed white actress is ridiculed by the world, what does that mean for black women? And this is an article that was written by a Candace McDuffie. Now, I don't know anything about Miss McDuffie. I don't know anything about her. But
oh my God.
There's so much to unpack here, right?
I don't dude, is this like The Onion? Is this The Onion sub article, The Root? Like, they're writing the jokes for me. I don't know where to go with this. It's such a parody in and of itself. Huh? Dude, this is why I don't have any hair. Like, the reality has become such a weird, just shit show. I can't believe what's happening.
So this article goes on to say, and it talks about, a jury, and they decided, for the actor Depp, yada, 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 and all that stuff, right? Comes all this here. And they talked about how, she did win one of the claims in the case. And, but it goes on to say here, and it says, if the mistreatment of a wealthy blonde hair, blue-eyed white actress is ridiculed by the world, what does that mean for black women? It says for 6 weeks, Heard testified how Depp had not only sexually abused her, but had also physically assaulted her throughout the relationship. She claimed that that he headbutted her as well as punched her and dragged her around by her hair. Maintained that everything she wrote in the op-ed entitled "I Spoke Up Against Sexual Violence and Faced Our Culture's Wrath That Has to Change" was true. Depp denied all the allegations of abuse. And then it goes on to say, for black women for black women who do not have whiteness or fame or money to protect them, Heard's words of the verdict as a setback ring especially true. Whether you believe her or not, the way the world treated Heard was downright cruel and uncalled for. Not only were her bruises placed under a microscope by forensic experts during the trial, social media joined in on the skepticism. Well,
I thought life was pretty cruel to, like, I don't know, people born in China, or like people born in the Middle East, people that have no rights as citizens of a dictatorship. I don't know. Amber Heard is a multi-millionaire and then lost a case where she had to pay two of that, like however many millions of dollars she has. Dude, I'm playing such a small violin, you'd have to have a microscope to see.
The thing that I'm going to say
whiteness.
From the very get-go of this is this.
Yeah.
I want to make this perfectly clear. This is my stance. I believe that anybody, male, female, whatever, doesn't matter, any person that comes forward and says, I was abused, be it physically, be it sexually, whatever, doesn't make a difference, that we 100%, emphatically, let me say this, we 100% have to listen to them. We have to listen to their story. We have to take notes about what they say. And then this is the crucial thing. And this is the one thing that way too many people, when Amber Heard made her allegations initially, this is what people did not do. They did not investigate and seek the truth. They had a woman who made an allegation. This was on the very cusp of the whole Me Too movement that started, as far as really gaining notoriety and fame. And that's the problem. They wanted to believe blindly and not seek the truth. If the truth ferrets out and that the person that they're accusing them of physical or sexual abuse is factual, then that person should suffer the full wrath of the legal system and the judgment of society as a whole. I have no problems with that. The problem is I agree that what happened in this situation did set back victims a lot, because it was proven beyond a shadow of a doubt to the jury and a lot of people that watched the trial that she lied repeatedly under oath. So she did 100% hurt, victims across the country and maybe around the world. I don't know. But but when you make this statement and they say, okay, if this, and the whole thing is if a blonde, and this statement is summed up as this, is if a blonde haired, blue-eyed, rich white woman can't get justice, then a then a person of color, female person of color, can never get justice. And I would counter that to say, as long as that person of color, male or female or whatever, is telling the truth, I 100% believe they will get as much justice that is allowed by our legal system. So
I have a migraine.
You have a migraine?
I just can't, I don't know, what, who cares? The article is so beyond even debating. It's such a stupid opinion or take to have. First of all, where do you even start?
Yeah.
Racism, problems of the privileged and the elite class.
Yeah.
Privilege based off of, skin color or gender. Who fucking cares? Ugh. That's the problem. That's the problem I had with this trial to begin with. Is I saw people on ad nauseum fucking posting on Facebook about. Amber Turd. We all stand for Johnny. People I seen and previously say I believe all women and shit like that. So it's cool. That's where you have your cognitive dissonance. But the other thing is seeing clips from the trial and how everyone was cracking little fucking cutesy jokes during the trial and all smiling smiling. Johnny Depp was is that also hearsay? And everyone's oh, Johnny's so hot and cool.
Yeah.
It's I just wanted to smack my head into a fucking wall. I'm no, I'm good. I'm honestly good. To be honest, they're probably dysfunctional druggies who fucking beat each other. So like, I mean, color me fucking surprised. Like, both of them are probably shitty people.
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
I think that's a safe takeaway that they were both.
Why do people care? Why do people care so much about the like intricacies of celebrity behavior online whenever there are like other things in the world going? No, like maybe I'm being that annoying guy that preaches at people. Like, granted, you know, but like whenever there's other things going on that could be taking your fucking your mental bandwidth that aren't like fucking about the guys you watched when you were a kid make pirate movies. You know, maybe that's like me. That sounds like, you know, not as well. It sounds like I'm talking down.
You know, here's what I'll say. I think my takeaway, because I watched the trial, not like from every second, but I'm gonna say probably more than 90% of all the testimony and everything. I watched it, and I watched it either on Emily D. Baker, Rakita Law, or Legal Bites coverage and breakdown of everything. And there's, without a doubt, these two people were definitely horrible to each other. They said some horrible things to each other. The only thing that, without any doubt, no doubt in my mind is the evidence that I saw or heard that was presented on Johnny Depp's behalf, that Amber Heard was the one who was physical in this relationship, and she admitted to it in her own words. So, I'm not saying that Johnny Depp was not physical in this relationship. I'm just saying there was nothing that was, to me, concretely presented that, you know. And the thing of it is that when this verdict was read, even all the attorneys were saying, well, you know, this is really a tall thing that Johnny's asking. There's a lot of hurdles and da. And so none of them thought it would be, you know, the way that it turned out. But one of the Twitterites, quote unquote journalists out there, who has built a reputation for themselves, is Kat Tinbarge.
Kat Tinbarge.
She presents herself as this leading authority on stuff that is going on in social media world, right? In Twitter and YouTube and things like that, right?
Influencer space.
Yes, sure. The influencer space, yes. Okay, and so she had this whole big thread that she tweeted out after the verdict was read about this stuff. And one of the things one of the tweets that she had in this thread that she talked about here, that she doesn't know what she's talking about. I'm going to just say this clearly. She does not know what she's talking about. And if you want a breakdown of the UK trial and what happened over there, I highly suggest you check out Legal Bites' channel, because she had a UK lawyer on her stream that broke down and explained exactly why things happened in the UK trial in the way that it happened. And here's the biggest reason. Under the UK law, Banana, and the way that it is structured over there, you know, like in trial here, you have depositions, right? Where you go and you depose witnesses and they record it, and then they're allowed to bring those depositions in because it's in front of a court reporter, and it is a legal process, right? And right. So those depositions can be brought in as evidence, testimony to the trial, right? We saw this in this Depp versus Heard trial that was in Virginia. And it can be brought in to present a factual evidence. It can be brought in to rebuke things that was said as far as rebuttal, right? To say, well, this goes in contrast to what this person testified to. So depositions can be brought in used in a various means, you know, depending on whether or not if you are on the like in a criminal case, if you're a defendant or a prosecutor, to prove your case, or in this case, it was a civil. So in this case, to prove Johnny's allegations towards Amber, or to strengthen Amber's case in defense against Johnny's allegations right. Okay. In the UK trial, though, however, depositions are not allowed to be entered. So, because it's treated as hearsay.
Gotcha.
So, and what I mean by that is, and this is very clear, if the person does not travel and appear in person before that judge, then they will not allow any of the testimony to come into the court record. Right? So all this evidence that Johnny and his team had gathered that was recorded depositions was treated as hearsay. So it wasn't. None of that stuff was allowed into the trial. And this UK attorney said that if he said this trial and the results of this trial, he said, is going to come back on the UK courts now, and he said it is going to resonate through the court systems over here. He goes, and it is going to be. He goes, this is going to mean major change for our legal system now. He said this. He said this is going to be ramifications. So I'm sorry, Miss Tenenbarge, you don't know what you're talking about when you talk about how a UK judge ruled in her favor for 12 out of the 14 incidences. The reason why is because evidence was not allowed in because it was treated as hearsay. Okay, so
you mind if I read some comments from the?
Go ahead.
Yes. Yeah. Ms. Abby Blackbird says in the chat. Let's see. When you're with somebody with a personality disorder, it will destroy your life. She showed that. Careful, the mentally ill community is going to come after you for saying that and say, "What? We can't love too." But to be honest, to Mrs. Blackbird's point, from hearing from like professionals that I've talked to, a lot of them say that like people with personality disorders usually don't ever have long-term relationships romantically that ever work out that well. Yeah. I mean, it's not impossible, but the odds are so stacked against them that it's not really good. Toxic Dome says, I think Kat Tenenbarge is freaking out because she doesn't want to lose It doesn't want to lose the monopoly on victimization.
Bingo.
This seems like dishonesty. Well, your intuition is correct in my opinion, Toxic Dome. I also agree with you. Yeah. I think this is a movement to justify any lie or any kind of position as long as it protects your ability to keep the ammunition of the Me Too movement available to use. Yeah. Even if it's not about protecting fucking victims, if it was, then they would not be, pursuing every single accusation as truth. Yeah. They would be thinking critically about some of them at least.
Yeah. And Miss Blackbird is also correct. It was Johnny versus the Sun magazine over there. And Amber Heard was just a witness in the trial. So he wasn't actually, I don't know if she was listed as a co-defendant or not. She may have been, I don't know.
Also, we have Nerdy John in the waiting. Do you want to wait or do you want to pull him in?
Let's wait just a little bit till we and there was one other thing here.
We see you, Nerdy John. We'll pull you in shortly.
Yeah, let's see. Okay. There was one other thing she said. Says many of the criticisms of Amber Heard are rooted in misogyny, but beyond that, they're also rooted in a fundamental misunderstanding of how trauma and abuse work.
DPD.
Where is it? There was something she talked. Oh, here it is. Yeah, this one right here. As many people have pointed out, there will likely be a future redemption arc for Amber Heard, like there was for Britney Spears. I realized I couldn't wait for that. I wanted to be on the right side of history today. End thread. So she goes on this whole big long diatribe, and that right there to me points out the bias that she had. Okay, that she flat out believes that Amber Heard was the victim here, and that she was going to get to that. And that's, and so if this had been an article, she had her results of where she wanted to get to. And so she narrated, she focused the story in a manner in which to get to what her end narrative was, not where the actual truth lay. And that's my problem with these journalists like Kate Tenenbarge and so that's the problem. Now, so Taylor Lorenz, not pausing here for a second, but Taylor Lorenz, she started tweeting out,
it's a different media apparatus. So to this tweet that she wrote here that you have pulled up on the screen, she says, and I'm sorry if I'm repeating it, but I just want to solidify this point in the viewer's mind. I wrote about how the Depp Heard trial offered a glimpse into our future media ecosystem, where content creators serve as the personalities breaking news to an increased number of viewers, and in turn define the online narrative around major events. Well, Kat, that's because corporate media has done such a bang up fucking job of telling people the fucking news instead on people, citizen journalists, people that don't have credentials have gone out of their way to create a media empire of their own. So if you are going to be a propaganda arm of the whatever political establishment you're vying for to win the race, the arms race to totalitarianism, you're going to have a new system pop up that is more democratic than yours or more free than yours. So you can complain about there being another news or some kind of media arm popping up that is open source or like not controlled by a giant conglomerate of plutocrats. But in the end of the day, it's kind of plainly obvious to the people who are paying attention that you're just another fucking useful idiot.
You know, the thing, if we go back, let's roll back time.
Old media can eat like 10,000 dicks. Like YouTube forever.
So let's
ask
go.
Me if I care.
So I don't know the age demographic or whatever was that our viewers are, but I, since I'm Peepaw here, I'm going to turn back time a little bit, tell a story. If we were to turn back time, I'm going to say probably 15 years, as little as 15 years ago. The mainstream media controlled the narrative. They controlled the story. You did not have what we have today, which is real-time news and real-time events occurring. Like, for example, if the Kyle Rittenhouse trial occurred today, rather than, or back 15 years ago versus just recently, the press would have been a whole different story. But with that trial being publicized and you having lawyers who had panels that were discussing and breaking down what was going on in that trial, and in a manner such as that the layman person, such as myself, could understand what was going on, it took the information, it took the knowledge, and it laid it into the laps of the layman's out here in a manner so we could listen to, we could understand, and then we were able to extrapolate and to deduce and make our own opinions and come to our own conclusion, right?
Read between the lines.
Yes.
Whereas, so you have multiple points of view to like 100%. To elucidate the actual situation instead of hearing political doublespeak about topics. Whenever you hear politicians or whatever, pick a topic.
Sure.
Talk about like I keep doing this. But whenever if George Bush said there were WMDs in Iraq,
sure.
You know, but anyways, I won't bring up fucking 9/11 for the 9 millionth time. So,
but you know, the thing that was is the press told the public what they wanted them to believe, what the story was.
Yeah, it was a useful narrative.
Yes.
Yeah. So to unify the public into an effort to.
So Taylor, to continue her thread, and out of each one of her tweets, she reposted the link to her article, right? Which is really getting the algorithm and getting that, really out there in the ecosystem to get it, carried out. She goes on to say, in this new media landscape, every big news event becomes an opportunity to amass followers Okay, so like what you're doing, right? By tweeting out your article repeatedly. Money and clout. Again, like what you were doing. And the Depp Heard trial showed how the creator-driven news ecosystem can influence public opinion based on platform incentives. Or another way to read that is, they took the power of information away from us, so it's not our story anymore, it's the world's story. They're robbing us of our control. They're robbing us of the ability to manipulate people. They took away our version of the truth from us. Okay?
Wait, our version of the truth?
Yes, their version of the truth.
Our version of the truth. There's not anyone's version. There's the truth, and then there's everything else.
Like, but case in point, like you said, the old school media had their truth that they told, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that it was necessarily the truth, but it was their truth, right?
Yeah, everyone has their own subjective truth.
Everybody has their own.
Them deal with the lies that they've made their life lies. Yeah.
So anyway, she goes on and has this.
Swallow the fucking pill that they like.
So she goes on. There's this whole big long thread. I mean, just over and over and over and over, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So then that's and if that's not bad enough, right? So then there was one little problem that arose, Banana, in this article that she wrote. Now, I can't show you the article and list it because, well, it's behind a paywall. But what I can do...
We've got to get a fund for, like, all these different websites.
What I can do is one of the people that was covered in this article that Taylor Sweet Little Lies Lorenz wrote was the Umbrella Guy. Now, this is a YouTube content creator, and he had been covering the Depp trial, and he had been covering this Depp story way back before there was ever a Depp trial. He had been covering this clear back from the original thing back to the UK. I mean, he has been on this for a long time. Okay, if you go to his YouTube channel, you'll see this was not some flash in the pan thing. He had been covering and researching and digging into this stuff for quite some time. But here's what he says. He says, and the Umbrella Guy made the trial. They referenced him and referred to him multiple times in this trial, and basically they put him as the boogeyman behind this campaign that existed online that was out there, quote, discrediting, dismantling, and ridiculing Amber Heard and her story. This is the boogeyman. This is the monster underneath. Yeah, this is the monster. Well, we're going to get into that, right? So he says, I tweets this out at 8 p.m. on June the 2nd, which, by the way, was the shortly after, about 24 hours or so after she put this out on the 2nd. He tweeted this. I'm sorry. Let me back up. She tweeted this out at 6:20 p.m. on the 2nd, and he was commenting and tweeting this out roughly 2 hours afterwards. And here's what he says. He says, looks like that Umbrella Guy made the Washington Post because dedicated pro-Depp content. Nice how they speculate at what I made one month, by the way, but amid years of coverage. I like to see the proof that Washington Post reached out to me because I got no email or Twitter DMs. And this is what he's referring to. Let's see, I need to get this up a little bit better. Here we go. He says, this is what the article says. It says, the content creator, Alight Mazika. Now, Alight Mazika is the lawyer that is behind the YouTube channel Legal Bites. We're going to get into that in a second. Earned $5,000 in 1 week by pivoting the content of her YouTube channel to nonstop trial coverage and analysis. She is a lawyer. She covers legal cases. She was part of the Rittenhouse coverage. She's part of she covers other trial and stuff as well. She didn't pivot anything. Okay. She just started covering. This was another legal trial that was being televised that she covered. How's that pivoting? But that doesn't go to, again, to their narrative, right? Or what they're trying to do, saying that all of a sudden these content creators see an opportunity to jump on a bandwagon, draw attention, gain followers, and make money.
Cloud chase argument. They're saying these people are not vetted. Yeah. They're not. They're like Alex Jones adjacent. They shouldn't be trusted as news sources. They're trying. They're them protecting their jobs and also the public consensus. So
said the Umbrella Guy, an anonymous YouTuber whose entire channel is dedicated to pro-Depp content, earned up to $80,000 last month, according to an estimate by social analytics firm Social Blade. Mazika and the Umbrella Guy did not respond for requests for comment.
It's an old tactic by journalists to make them look like
did not respond for comment. Okay, but the problem is the problem here is Umbrella Guy says you never reached out to me. Okay, Legal Bites. This is a lawyer now, mind you. Says and cute lawyer, by the way. She's cute. Says this says I didn't respond to the request to comment. I know I've gotten a lot of emails over the past 2 months, but I just double checked for your name, Taylor Lorenz, and I see no email from you. Also, I didn't suddenly pivot. I started covering this trial, or started covering this before trial began. Mm-hmm. Okay, so now two of the people that was part of this article that she's pointing to again fit her narrative, fit her agenda for writing this opinion piece, I guess she wrote. And they call her out on it. Okay, so here's what happens. Okay, the Washington, I think was it the Washington Post? The Washington Post did a
Toxic. If you have a Toxic Dome, if you have a question, you can call in. I'm not sure what you mean by wait pivot question mark. Also, Toxic Dome says that Umbrella Guy even covered Vic Mignonia. I don't know how to say his name. Story. He cares about people getting falsely accused.
Yeah.
If it's true, so what? They are doing what the media refuses to. That's my argument too. Yeah. This is a weak argument. Yep. Like people, who fucking finds those art people who don't have common sense.
Yeah.
And they just eat narratives of the corpo media.
Yeah.
So surface level Democrats or surface level liberals that just eat the narrative that these journalistic CNN, pick one, Cat Tenenbarge, people like that they pump out. And then, by the way, this I'm bashing liberals here, but the same thing happens with Fox News too. So don't get it twisted.
Oh, no,
conservatives are equally. No, they're not equal. That's not true. It's way worse with the left than it's ever been with the right, I think, in my opinion.
So the Washington was it? You got me okay. The Washington Post. Okay. So the Washington Post does a correction to the article, right? And puts in there that this article was actually ran prior to these two people being contacted. But they did that only after these two people went to Twitter and say, hey, you guys never reached out to me. You never reached out to me. Okay. And it got
better to ask for forgiveness than permission. Yeah.
Sure. And so then it got interesting, right? Because then this gentleman by the name of Oliver Darcy, and he's got one of them little check marks by his name, so that means he's important. Says Washington Post has added a correction to the Taylor Lorenz story after two people said they were not contacted for comment as the initial version of the article stated. The correction says previous versions of the story omitted or inaccurately described the attempts to ask for comment. Then he goes on to say, here's what the two people said on the article, and he screenshots, the Umbrella and Legal Bites. He then goes on to says, now a new correction from Washington Post is even more clear. The first published version of the story stated incorrectly the internet approaches Eli Mazika and the Umbrella Guy had been contacted for comment before publication. And then he goes on to say that in a series of tweets, Lorenz blames her editor for having inserted the error into her story and says she is the victim of a bad faith campaign. And then he goes on to say that the Washington Post's second correction indicated one influencer was asked for comment via Instagram before publication. The influencer is saying that isn't true because now they've done 2 corrections. Okay, the Washington Post has done 2 corrections, and they still can't get the shit right. Says the influencer is saying that it isn't true, and Lorenz is now saying she reached out after. Small detail and grand scheme, but weird that the Washington Post can't get this basic detail straight. Now,
how is it weird? Like, I get what he's doing. Like, he's playing the game. It's not weird because they're hiring incompetent people that would have been fired under any other circumstance, but the only reason they retain their position is because they're adhering to a news structure that is or running the fucking system. It's like all this woke bullshit. It's like, you can't fire me because I'm a woman and or like, like something like that. It's like, my God.
Are you ready for the other shoe to drop now? Is this
there's another one? Okay. How many more shoes can drop? Sorry.
Oh, this is a good one. So Taylor Lorenz, right? The little princess, right? Says no. Okay. And she quote tweets, Oliver Darcy.
Actually?
Okay.
I can hear her actually. I can hear a white girl actually. No, actually.
Let me see if I can do that.
Venti. I want to speak to your manager. Sorry.
So let's see if I can channel my inner white girl here, right?
Here you go.
Right, here we go. Let me get a little drink of water here because this is really going to draw on my acting, which I have none of.
I'm right here for it.
Okay, here we go. Actually, this type of coverage is so irresponsible and dangerous. It misrepresenting my words to amplify a manufactured outrage campaign by the right-wing media and radicalized influence, which is driving a vicious harassment spirit campaign against me. And CNN is gleefully piling on. So, because here's the other. Are you ready for this?
Bro. Yeah.
So, where did he go? Where did he go? Oh, shit. Don't tell me I closed it.
No one ever told Taylor that she was a privileged brat that needed to shut the fuck up. Oh, seriously, God. No one cares about you as much as you think. You're not that fucking special, Taylor. And by the way, you're a public figure, so you can be criticized publicly. Idiot.
So let me go here. Let me go back to
no matter how much crying and saying that you're being attacked by like alt-right misogynists. They just don't want women in media. It's not that you're like woefully incompetent and can't like do your basic job. Or you're doing it. You're actually doing your job purposely wrong to attack people. My head hurts.
Okay.
Much
so I wanted to bring this up here.
Seppuku. Just take a katana.
So Oliver Darcy, who was the original guy that tweeted that all out, look at this, guys. He's a senior media reporter at CNN, right? But she says this is a manufactured outrage campaign by the right-wing media.
Oliver Darcy is right-wing media?
Oh, but here's why. You ready? You know what? You want to know why she says this is right-wing media? You ready? Let me bring this up here because I'm going to give you all the answers. Here's all the deets. It's because the Umbrella guy puts out a tweet, says, Fox News is asking me for a comment about Taylor Lorenz. I don't talk to the media, so I'll say it publicly. Taylor Lorenz wrote an obvious smear piece conflating Depp support with financial gain. She flagrantly ignored the fact that I covered this case for a year while mischaracterizing what Adam Waldman said during the Depp trial. She got the factual items about the relationship wrong as well. Crazier, she lied about contacting me in the Washington Post and tried covering this up after I called it out publicly. I noted this publicly at 8:31 p.m. on June the 2nd. She wrote me over an hour after I posted this in a blatant attempt at backtracking. Additionally, she conflated projected earnings from the site Social Blade to fit her obvious hit piece, saying I made up to an estimated $80,000. Social Blade notes a low of 4.7 to 79.1K. Not only did she admit the low end, she added to the highest. This is from someone.
She couldn't even round up. 79.1 would be 79. It wouldn't be 80. Idiot. What's wrong? I hate this point by these commie fucking libtards. Like, what is wrong with making money from doing YouTube? But tell me, why is it wrong? Well, somebody give me a good argument.
Okay, isn't she making money off of stories that originate from YouTube and social? She's
making money by doing literally fucking her job incorrectly. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, Fox News did do an article on her, right? They did put out an article. It says YouTuber, says Washington Post correction on Taylor Lorenz story claiming contact on Instagram before publication. Now,
Taylor Lorenz attacked my child at Starbucks in Las Colinas. Sorry.
Now, you brought Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson did, in fact, do a story earlier where because Taylor Lorenz had went after the Libs of TikTok creator.
There's no way his hair is real.
And, well, who cares?
I care.
And Taylor Lorenz was the person who went out and doxed Libs of TikTok and exposed them. Okay, so let's not.
She's a victim. No, she's the victim. When she doxed a parody account, a comedy account.
And all that Fox News did was basically report what had happened. That they had gotten the article wrong, saying that they had reached out when in fact they had not reached out. But it's a smear campaign.
We are approaching the edge of my patience. Okay. I might start. I mean, I'm already screaming.
So anyway, there's more tweets out here. Like there's one that Umbergo says, Washington Post Taylor Lorenz has CNN going after her for her lies as well. And instead of owning up, she drops the facade and says, I am a radicalized influencer. I guess that the umbrella guy believes that she was referring to him. She lied. Her own paper admitted it. But now the Washington Post and its writers digs the hole deeper. There was, let's see, what else was it? Legal Bites put out another tweet saying, oh, I don't know about that, Taylor. I believe that the umbrella and I both gave commentary to add, just not the kind you wanted to include. And for the record, your latest editor's note is still not correct. So as of June the 4th, which was yesterday at 5 p.m., they still did not have the editor's note about what had happened as accurate about the whole situation. Now, I wished that this was a one-time thing. I wish this was a situation where Taylor Lorenz dropped the ball and it was just a simple, honest mistake. And, she, could just, learn from this and go on. However, that's not the case, Banana.
No, it's not.
No, I started digging into Taylor Lorenz. I started doing my, what would you call it? Basic journalism. I mean, I'm not a pro. I'm an amateur at best. But it's amazing when you start actually trying to go out and do some research and stuff, right? And I found something that was very interesting.
What's that?
Little Miss Taylor Lorenz is currently being sued for defamation herself. Yeah. When she was a reporter at the New York Times, okay, and this happened, this situation I think happened actually back in into 2019, 2020. What happened is she did a story on this TikTok agent by the name of Arianda Jacob, who represents stars like Charlie D'Amelio.
The D'Amelio twins. Yeah.
Okay. And other.
Dixie and Charlie.
Yep. She has slapped the New York Times and its reporter, Taylor Lorenz, with a $6.2 million defamation lawsuit.
Woo!
And this was filed in the U.S. District Court of New York. And the lawsuit claims that, and I'm not going to click on this because, again, paywall stuff, right? That an August 2020 article by Lorenz contained numerous false and disparaging statements about Jacob and her businesses, including an accusation that she leaked nude images of one of her clients to manipulate him.
Nice.
So,
nice.
According to this article, right? According to what this agent, Arianda Jacob, is saying, this isn't something new. She routinely, evidently, gets stories factually inaccurate. So she is under a lawsuit for defamation right now.
Calling me fucking surprised.
And then I came across a YouTube video. Now, this YouTube video is by a content creator by the name of BostWiki. That's BostWiki. And this is a video that it was put out June the 8th of 2021. So we're coming up almost a year to the date of when this video was released. This video is 1 hour and 18 minutes long.
That's a lot of cheddar.
And the name of it is Content Cop Taylor Lorenz Midwest Edition. And if you go to the very opening of it, he does like a whole content cop thing, but he's dressed in like overalls and a straw hat and stuff. It's very kind of hokey or whatever, right? But anyway, I wanted to cover this little segment here because it says Little White Lies was the name of the segment. Now, this guy is a reporter, and this whole thing is about the fact of how Taylor is, what is the word? Shady as shit? Is she sus? But anyway,
she's a political fucking agent. Like, that's what she is.
So let's listen to this little segment here. It's just about a 2.5 minute, 3 minute segment. I will link this video in the description with the VOD.
Abby says that Optimus has a good video on her too. Great channel.
Okay. Yeah, Optimus is good. Let's listen to this.
All right. Oh, fuck this loud.
In 2017, Taylor was at the Charlottesville rally and reported that the hate-filled driver who mowed into a group of people and murdered a person did it essentially, according to her, on accident. Tweeting after she spoke to the police, quote, "Anyway, several police officers here at the station think the guy running people down wasn't malicious. They said the driver was scared." Thank you for that, Taylor. Now, I know Taylor tried to delete these tweets, but she dug up Mr. Beast's tweets, so I'll dig up hers. She goes on to say that the counter-protesters, or as the media would later deem non-violent protesters, were, quote, according to her, the car is being swarmed by protesters, some of them who are getting violent. The police say the car was covered in dents and apparently hit by a bat. They're throwing rocks, bottles, and shoes. But when her reporting, and these tweets later did not fit the dominant narrative, she deleted her problematic reporting, tried to scrub it off the internet. She deleted these tweets and pretended like she never made a big mistake. Or was it a mistake? Given what she recorded, wrote, and then deleted, either she was an incorrect witness, misreported what she saw, then deleted her problematic reporting and tried to pretend like she never said anything else, or she tweeted a narrative of events, and when that narrative of events contradicted the prevailing narrative enough, she wanted to be on the correct side of history and decided she would just try to scrub her problematic reporting, erase it, and quietly go with the new narrative and act like she never said anything differently. Which, as we know, this lack of accountability and waffling on what is the true story is the kind of journalistic ethics we would expect from the prestigious New York Times. But the larger question is, why did this reporter editorialize her own narrative on top of the footage she was already filming for The Hill? Like her tweets, I found her live stream. And the video reporting is fine. The video captures accurately what occurred. But then she tweeted that protesters violently swarmed the car, throwing rocks, bottles, and shoes, only to magically delete those tweets and claim she was live streaming to over 3 million people when that's false. Anyone can check the actual number is 1.3 million, which seems like a small lie, but Taylor lies everywhere. That's what I'm getting at. It's easier to catch Taylor lying, this New York Times reporter lying, than a T-ball tossed by a toddler. So along with her lack of accountability and waffling on stories or numbers, the digging up of other people's tweets, the doxing of people's moms, I'm starting to get the vibe that maybe this reporter is a bad actor and has a problem telling the truth.
Okay, I like that guy's video, but his body language was distracting me the entire time. Like, he was also very quiet. I wish he would have used his outside voice and projected a little bit.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all the criticism I have. Yeah. Good video.
All right, so is Nerdy still there? Is
He's there. Let's pull him in.
Yeah, let's pull him in.
1, 2, 3. Wee! Hey, Nerdy John, you're on the show. Welcome to hell. How you doing?
Hey, let me mute the stream real quick.
Let me mute the stream.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just messing with you.
So, are you back ready to be part of the conservative movement?
Oh yeah, gotta march with my brother.
You're going to get exposed being part of that right wing conspiracy again.
I'm gonna somebody clip that. I'm ready to march with my brethren.
Exactly.
John caught in 4K.
Exactly. So what's your thoughts? Have you followed any of this insanity by Kate Tannenbaum or Taylor Lorenz?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Like I'm mostly familiar with her with like the Mr. Beast stuff.
Yeah.
But it's just it's clearly and like weirdly enough, if I remember correctly, Kat tried to get buddy with the commentary dudes for a while.
She did. She
was in Tommy's DMs trying to flirt with him. Yeah. I know.
And Tommy told her to pound sand.
Kick rocks.
Yep.
Touch grass.
Go home. Well, none of it. So
to relate to the Depp trial a bit, guess who went on Edwin Generation's stream and said that they had more information than the actual court itself? Guess who said that? No.
Don't tell me Stardust.
Jessica's favorite person.
Stardust?
Stardust, you're not serious.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, I had a friend who was watching the stream, and she was saying, "Look, the jury, they did good with the information they had. However, if they had the information I have, then Amber would have won."
Did you go back to confirm, or you just got this secondhand knowledge?
It's secondhand knowledge, so take it with a grain of salt. The problem is Edwin privates his streams and keeps it for members only, so we can't look back on it.
Listen. I know a lot of people have some problems with Stardust, but as you know, I'm looking for wife number 2, and I really don't want to burn that bridge yet. So Stardust, just saying, I'm single, you're single.
Like I don't have a problem. Okay. I don't have a problem with her as a content creator. It's just like she's like as weird as people have been with like Johnny's side of it. She's weirdly been spurgy for Amber too. Like I'm just here for the chuckles, but she's like her Riveter knows a lot about this. Like her like stances throughout this entire time have just been weird.
Well,
Stardust.
Yeah, she.
How so?
Well, okay, so her stance is.
Before we say that, let's be careful and not put words in her mouth. Because
I'm not gonna put words in her mouth. Right. I'm not putting words in her mouth.
I know. I'm just prefacing what we're about to say.
Yeah. Okay. So during the stage that she participated in over on Tommy's Discord server that night, which I was a member of, and I actually had some discourse with her. She said because when Amber testified to the sexual assault out of part of her story, that resonated with Star, and so based upon the way that Amber's story made her feel, she believed that Amber was telling the truth. I think I'm being
Well, here, okay, I can give you my personal like listening to it. She referenced she said she talked to a gynecologist, and then she kept saying that she had textbooks on her table next to her. And I was like, okay, maybe you did talk to a gynecologist. Maybe you do have textbooks on your table next to you. One, how do I know you talked to a gynecologist other than you saying trust me? And two, how do I know you read those books other than you saying trust me? I have a bunch of, you look right here, I have a bunch of books right back here. I mean, how do you know I read them all? Maybe they just may be decoration.
What I will say is
anecdotal. You're not the expert. You have to have the expert's testimony, either in video, writing, or otherwise. Otherwise, you can't reference it and make a knowledge claim.
You know what the funny thing is, Banana?
Am I wrong?
No, you're not.
Are you guys familiar with Little Pink Ninja?
Pink
Ninja? I know. Look, she is a doctor, is she not?
Yes, she's a doctor, and guess what? I talked to her, and guess what? The type of injury that Amber alleged that she sustained, 90% of the time, the bottle would shatter inside.
Yeah.
Now, granted, she did state that. Granted, Amber could be part of that 10%. Sure. But the way Stardust was saying it was like, oh no, like it never breaks. Like that's how she was trained.
Listen, again, unless we have written video testimony from the gynecologist that Stardust talked to, that is just her word. Like that is just her.
Here's what I'm going to say to this.
I don't know. I've not heard anyone push back on this point, so I really would like somebody to.
Okay, so here's what I'll say. Okay.
Okay.
100%. I do not have a vagina, and I have never went to a gynecologist. However, my wife does, and I have attended times when she went to when she was pregnant, and then other times.
Don't like where this is going.
So I went and asked my wife, who has the female parts, and I asked her something. I said, because I don't know, right? I'm a guy. Well, I would know this shit. And so I asked her, I said, honey, as a woman, if somebody was inserting a liquor bottle into your vagina, if it was a broken liquor bottle, as far as it had, jagged edges and stuff, would you be able to tell? She goes, yeah, because it'd be tearing shit up down there. Now, she didn't say shit because my wife don't cuss. I'm adding that in there. I will
paraphrasing.
I'm paraphrasing a little bit there. But she says, no, 100% you would know because it would be tearing stuff up down there. You would know.
Just a moment, Abby. We'll bring you in a second.
So based upon that, I advocate, what do you call it, to my wife. If my wife says this is what, I trust my wife would know, right? So, anyway.
Oh, Abby doesn't have long. Do you want to pull her in? She's
go ahead.
Call her.
Yeah, go ahead. Pull
Stick around, nerdy. Just let her have her call.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show, Abby. How you doing? Thanks for calling in. What do you got? You're muted. You'll have to unmute.
Oh, she might have the Android glitch.
If you're on your phone, you're gonna have to. What's up here? One sec.
You have to go into like desktop.
Well, we are live, so let's get this ball rolling. Try it one more time. Give you a few seconds.
Yeah, she's not server muted, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the Android glitch.
You got the glitch. All right, are you on your phone, Abby? Oh, there we go. How you doing, Abby?
Hi.
Hello. We lost you. If you're on your phone, put the phone right up to your mouth, if you could, please. We're not getting you.
Yeah, she could be having internet or data issues with her phone. She's on her phone.
All right. Being very generous. We are live.
Yeah.
So the Tommy C experience.
If it was Tommy, he'd fucking blow her up immediately.
No, I know.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
No, it's okay.
We got you loud and clear right now. How's it going?
Good. Yeah, no, sorry, technical difficulties. Oh man, there's so much I wanted to add. But yeah, no, the whole bottle thing. No. That's that answer. And I mean, it was just it. Okay, so there's one thing I wanted to say as far as like the whole step back from quote unquote step like or for women like the believe all women thing. I don't even think it's necessarily that. I think it's not a loss really for anyone other than Amber Heard. More so in the degree of like she she lost because she lied, and it gives men more of a voice who are actually abused to be able to stand up for themselves. I think that's more of the point to be taken. And as well as like when it comes to people that are considered quote unquote less than, at least in the true crime community, when they talk about, African American or even sex workers, all that stuff, but that's a different conversation. It has nothing to do with what happened.
Yeah, it's a red herring that kind of is really bizarre. And I'm trying to I'm having a little bit of trouble making out what you're saying, but I think I got the gist of it. You're saying the point is not Me Too, but it's the men being able to be taken seriously on abuse matters when it comes to relationships.
Yeah, like that's really the ultimate win.
From the point of view of who? From the people who are championing Johnny, or?
No, I think that's the point to take away. I think on either side, if you're on like, oh, Johnny.
Was I making a Me Too argument?
No, at the very beginning when you guys were reading the article, I think it was just something I thought of and wanted to add was because like Repsion kind of covered it, but it was more like believe all genders. You know what I mean? Like it's not really so much about
the whole me was like a weird like yeah, it was a weird specification onto like saying that women should be believed no matter what by a group of people on Twitter. It's like, so like before that, like, I mean, I don't think there was that much of a problem with, I mean, there was obviously a problem with like equality in the court system when it comes to divorce and stuff with men and women. But other than that, I don't know. Do you think the Me Too movement was largely positive or negative? I guess
I think that God, that's so complicated. So like what I want to say first is like, you know how like they championed it at the Oscars, I believe, remember?
Yeah, I may be missing your point, but yeah.
No, I was just saying when they did, I think it was for like women's voting rights or something, like way back when, or maybe no, it was, sorry, there's a point in time where they had done something very similar before, at the Oscars, and it was very successful because it wasn't very like, I think there's so much of like a rage culture right now that people just like
outrage. Yeah,
that it just really like it takes away from the point where it's like, can't people just understand like, okay, yeah, no, there's not like you said with Johnny Depp, there's not like a whole evil whole, like there's not a whole, oh, he won, you know what I mean? Like that's what I was saying about
the oppressive patriarchy is won, and we've gone back to the dark ages. No, yeah, like there's always a narrative. There's a useful narrative to be applied to every situation in the public eye, and now I mean, it's like it's always been that way in a sense with media outlets, but like instead of them, reporting honestly on something, it's always been a vehicle for some kind of objective. So like they'll paint it in a certain light, and Twitter amplifies that by quite a bit. So.
And that's why YouTube is so important. Like, yeah, they can say whatever. You know what? Journalism's been dead for a very long time. There's a reason. I mean, they literally just like gaming journalism is specifically used to make fun of at this point. Like, there's certain things that like it's just what it is. Like, either do what you can, move with the times, or just don't. Like, but don't be saying stupid shit like that. You know what that is? That stuff that you're saying is what fucking puts women back, because you make more women look stupid, which is why I don't associate with you.
Well, that's the argument we have all the time on the channel, is that decentralization of knowledge on the internet was like the biggest breakthrough for society. And like, I think Jordan Peterson said YouTube was something like the invention of the printing press, because it democratized media to a point where you can get alternative sources of like truth or fact claims and make your own decision on what's actually happening. The problem with that, though, is that you have so many different avenues of opinion or presentation that it's hard to discern the reality from some kind of, schizoid, conspiracy hole. And so there's this problem of like, how do you discern the truth in a way that keeps society from creating all these echo chambers of sub-realities like Twitter echo chambers or alt-right pipelines, where they become radicalized in a very small, section. And I don't think we have a good answer for that right now, because the only answer being presented right now for that problem is authoritarianism, where, like the government has control, or the old media has control, legacy media has control over narratives exclusively, and will police the internet and censor it as much as possible. And I don't know if that's the answer.
So I have a question a question for Abby here.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to look back to something and this is on the Me Too movement. And I want to see if what I'm saying is like a really nuclear take and out of line, and I want your opinion on this. Okay. And my statement is this: the Me Too movement, when it initially started, I think was a great thing. I think that it brought to light that there were abuse victims, and I'm going to say the majority of them, the vast majority of domestic and sexual assault abuse victims are female. And I think it did a really good job of bringing all this to light, right, and shining the light of truth on it. However, when it became politicized and it changed from Me Too to all women, that's when it became toxic.
But I think, Riveter, her point is the fixation of a lens of like Me Too or any kind of little hashtag movement is like that's what Abby's saying is the problem, is having all these little like these real world like situations are being hijacked by a media narrative.
I don't think
so here's what I'll say.
Okay.
Here's what I'll say is I was raised by wolves. I make that joke all the time, but I am a woman. Play bits, all that fun stuff. So when it comes to this conversation, like I've always stood up for men when I've like had female friends and they're like playing those stupid games or whatever. I just don't put up with that. Like the whole like believe all women thing, yeah. For me, I'm not about it. But I am more so like abuse is abuse, whatever the situation is. I think destigmatizing sex would be a great way to, in the right direction and all that kind of stuff. One thing that I was discussing yesterday was we do live in a cowboy country, is what, a good way of putting it. And I think teaching men good coping skills, whether like dealing with their emotions and such, would be a good step in that direction. And that would include mental health and that good stuff. Instead of like a pull you up by your bootstraps thing, just like actually teach them to deal with it. It's not that hard, Yeah. But I think it's abuse knows no gender. I think it's really just understanding who you are as a person and not inflicting your narratives onto other people. Just educate people what they do. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, now it's like a fucking tug of war between who can gaslight the other person faster, because everything's a power dynamic between genders. That's what I see. Like there's a disillusion of functioning relationships between men and women at like a fundamental level, because we've lost this narrative of like what the West is, or what, how society has come to where we are right now. And so like I see is like young women being told by and large that men are evil, and they're like the only reason that men go after women or the traditional nuclear family, like pursuing that kind of relationship, is just an extension of a patriarchal power system that has dominated and subjugated women for over like 100 pick a span of time.
Yeah, as somebody that's really into true crime, like I've seen women.
Oh, Abby, real quick, if you have something covering up your mic, because every now I can hear you kind of good, but every now and then it muffles. So I don't know if you're moving anything. Okay, just make sure your mouth is as close to that mic as possible and you're speaking clearly into it.
Yeah.
That way you can hear me. Do you have echo if you talk?
No, you're fine. I hear you fine.
Okay. Oh, is it me?
No.
Maybe it is. I mean, I'm not. I mean, every once in a while she does get a little bit.
Okay, I'll shut up.
But,
yeah, my bad. Go ahead.
But anyway, I do appreciate and I do agree with your sentiment about. There's this labeling of men as these horrible people, and if we're truthful, people can be horrible. I don't think it's just necessarily a gender, and I think that's kind of what you're saying, is that people can be horrible, and it's not a gender specific occurrence, and I think Banana and I agree with that. So, Anyway,
yeah, if I took time to break it all down from like MK Ultra, like we'd be here for a long time. So
yeah. Okay. Well, listen, we appreciate you as a watch viewer, and we appreciate your call. And thanks again, and please call back some other time. We'd love to have another conversation.
Preferably on a computer.
Yeah, exactly.
See you later.
All right.
Bye-bye.
All right. So, but Nerdy, did you have anything else that you wanted to interject here?
No, not really, because I pretty much agree with the majority of what you all are saying.
Well, I mean, like, so barring all those little sub points about culture and shit, which I tend to do because I unpack all the way out into like the big problem, and I have a habit of like relating everything. But the problem with Taylor Lorenz is like I don't know how much of it is self-awareness. Like, so it's like there's like two different avenues you could go down. It's like Taylor Lorenz, Jesus, is a willfully deceitful person acting in bad faith to propagate some kind of system, whether like so to use her journalism, what she considers as journalism, as a weapon in the space of public discourse to silence people based off of what she thinks is deplorable opinions, or she actually believes that she's doing the right thing because everybody in her life has always told her that she is special and important, and that she's fighting the good fight for like whatever. Pick one of the buzzword topics, like either feminism, women in the space, journalism, whatever, disenfranchised people. And she actually believes her own bullshit, and she doesn't realize she's a bad journalist. You can make that decision yourself. But I think, I don't know, at this point, with all the lying and shit, I think she's just a willfully dishonest person who knows what she's doing and continues to do it anyway because she has this protection by a greater entity like, a publication or Twitter, pick one.
My personal feelings is I believe she has fallen into that, I don't know what the appropriate word is, but I believe she has become part of that part of journalism that rather than say, hey, there's a story
she's
here.
An evil person.
Yes, I would agree with that. Where, you have, to me, what a journalist should do is this, or my opinion of what a journalist is this. Is a journalist sees something, some sort of injustice, it could be a story or whatever, and they say, hey, I think there's a story here. Let me ferret out and get to the truth of the matter. Let me see what's going on here. They don't go in with a preconceived idea, and they don't go in looking for information to end at the destination that they wish to end at because they have an agenda. There's a bias. And so instead, what a journalist should do is say, I think there's a story here, and they go in and they do a research, and they present the facts as a matter, this is what happened. This is the facts of the matter, not try to, because it's gotten to the point where every article is an op-ed piece. It's not, which means it's an opinion piece. It is not a story of facts. It's a story of opinions, and it's a story of here is these this information that I was able to gather and to garner that backs up my opinions. And they're opinion pieces, and they're not factual. It is tabloid journalism at its best, and it's being shrouded under this umbrella of what they want to try to pass off as legitimate journalism, and it is not that anymore. It is TMZ on steroids. And it's wolf and it's a wolf in sheep's clothing. And the last thing I want to kind of get into a little bit here, and you're welcome, I guess, to hang out, John, if you want to, or if you got other things you will do, there's other ways you're your own keeper on that. But I wanted to bring something up here, and some of you guys may be too young to know who this gentleman is. This gentleman, was a comedian who had a career that was cut way too short, and his name was Phil Hartman. He was on Saturday Night Live. He was also on, I believe it was Twin Cities, which was a comedian troupe out of Canada. Phil Hartman married a woman, and this woman was abusive to him, physically and verbally. And she was became so jealous of his success that one night while he was laying in bed asleep, she came in and shot and killed him. So when I see these stories and this narrative that is trying to be portrayed out there by the quote unquote journalists today about how Johnny wasn't a victim, Amber was the victim, and they present it in such a way as they tiptoe up to the line, but they don't quite go over it, but they heavily imply that men cannot be victims. They cannot be victims. And I wanted to bring up a video. And this video, I think, says it all.
That's a good question. Yeah. Who would you rather be around? The couple that's stabbing at each other, or the ideal couple who's making you feel like your relationship isn't so great?
Oh, the ideal couple, for sure. I want to be around happy people.
Yeah.
I want to be around people that are enjoying each other's company. There's nothing more frustrating than being around two people that insult each other like slyly in public.
Ooh, it's brutal. We know a couple of those.
Phil Hartman's wife used to do that all the time.
Really?
Yeah. They say you shouldn't speak ill of the dead, but when they kill your friend and then kill themselves, I think you're allowed to talk shit.
Absolutely. There's no reverence and death for the bad.
They had a very combative relationship, and she used to talk shit about him in front of us.
Really?
Yeah, right in front of him and us. It was just like, she would say he's old, and she would, like one time she was talking about her car. Phil was talking about a car. Like, Phil's a car aficionado, loves cars. So we were talking about a car. I forget what it was. And then she goes, I love pickup trucks. I want to get a pickup truck. All my boyfriends back home had pickup trucks.
I think, and the thing about it is Phil Hartman and Joe Rogan were very good friends. Mm-hmm. And when Phil Hartman was murdered, Joe talks about how it hurt him. It hurt him so deeply. And he was sitting there telling a story about one time when they were out to dinner, and he talked about how, she called him old, and does any of that sound familiar, guys?
It was like toxicity to me. It sounds familiar. Yeah, it does.
Amber Heard said the same things to Johnny. You're old. Oh, you're washed up. Okay. So, anyway, listen. I don't care what your sex is, what you identify as. It doesn't matter. If you're in a relationship that is not healthy for you, get out. Get away from the person. It's not good for you. Mentally, it's not good for you. Physically, it's not good for you emotionally. Just get out. And listen, I know there's this mindset, oh, you're a guy. If you're a man, you go, oh, you got to stay in there. You got to do this. No, you don't. No, you don't. It doesn't make you any less of a man if you walk away for your own health. It does not. It ultimately could end up being the worst possible thing for you. Okay. Mm-hmm. Men are killed from domestic abuse all the time. Phil Hartman is a perfect example of this. But you don't hear him talking about that, do you? You don't hear him talking about how Phil Hartman was abused emotionally, physically, and ultimately was murdered by his wife.
Also, yeah, there's a there's a video going around on TikTok of this girl who her boyfriend cheated on her. So in response, she poured her boyfriend's mother's ashes in a river. And then there's another story about how the woman cut the dude's privates off. Now, granted, these are both cases where the man cheated, right? But let's analyze this a bit. If a man caught his wife cheating and he gave her a left hook, that's abusive. So, I mean, it seems like both, like, obviously the woman who cut her husband's privates off, I think she served jail time, or she was at the very least in court for it.
If you're talking about Lorena Bobbitt, yes, she went to jail, prison over that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we also it looks like this lady who dumped the ashes might be serving some jail time too.
I mean, it's things that like we publicly don't acknowledge, but everyone knows. I have an intuition about it. It's like men are expected to not fucking talk about shit, especially their fucking feelings.
Yeah.
Because it makes you look weak.
Yeah.
And so you're expected to deal with it as a man. And if you complain, that makes you a little bitch. So
yeah, like I've had friends who are like who had.
You can talk about. I'm sorry. One sec. You can talk about equality all you want. At the end of the day, that is as much as you post on Twitter, like men need to toxic masculinity, like, or toxic femininity exists too. It's like, yeah, but no one cares. So I don't know, like, you know what I mean? Does that make sense? Sorry, go ahead, John.
Yeah, no, like I've had friends who are in relationships where their girlfriends at the time told them, you need to talk to me, you need to open up, right? But like as soon as they opened up, the relationship ended because they saw him too much as a wuss.
Yeah. I'm gonna just say this. I maybe this is. I am a firm believer that men need other men that they can go and hang out with and have a beer or whatever, and just sit and can be real and honest with those men about shit that's going on in their lives. And, and in some cases, maybe you need to have your balls busted a little bit because maybe you are being too big of a, you're letting things bother you that shouldn't, and maybe you are being a little bit of a wuss. Okay.
Yeah.
But, because maybe you just need to rub some dirt on it and go on. Right. But you still need to be able to let that shit out. And here's the thing. The only other person that's going to understand that is another man that's walking in your same shoes. So I'm a firm believer that you need to have buddies. You need to have another male friend or a couple male friends, maybe whatever. And you guys meet at your local watering hole and you have a couple and you just talk about shit. And you just kind of let the shit off your chest. I'm not saying, therapy is not good, whatever, but I think there's different kinds of therapy.
Therapy. That's another fucking clusterfuck because the therapist, not personal experience or anything, I couldn't talk about it if it was, but let me just give you a little insight to that. You go to a therapist and you start explaining some of your intimate problems with a significant other, they could be equally inclined to not believe a goddamn word you say and then act as an agent on behalf of your significant other to justify the lies they're telling about you being abusive.
Yep.
That could also happen. So you could be vulnerable
100%.
to somebody who you think actually gives a shit and talk about all these things you had to deal with, talk about how the person you were with was, toxic or abusive, or told everyone that, you were this kind of monster.
Yeah.
And you could open up about that and that could be used against you.
100% it can be.
So look, there's this, you could call that systemic. I don't know, but like, it's just, ugh.
Yeah. So anyway, I think that pretty much, I'm going to bring it to a wrap for the show today. I don't want it to get into too heavy. It's a heavy subject. It's a heavy topic. And I just want to say that that Taylor and Kate, you guys have got to do better. And if you don't do better, then the internet, the very thing that you make your living from, is going to continue to keep you accountable. And it's not a right-wing agenda coming after you. It's you being held, taken to task for the shitty ass, poor journalism that you're doing. Your days of reign as part of being the old guard to the information, those days are over with. You don't hold the keys to the kingdom of that stuff anymore. Not when we have live coverage of cases and we have everybody on the street has a phone with a camera in it and records shit as it happens. So you don't control that narrative anymore. You don't control the access to that data anymore. Okay. So you're going to have to do better. You're going to have to present the stories in an unbiased way. You cannot make up and then try to lay it off on, well, I didn't do this. My editor did this. No, I'm sorry. The buck stops with you. You wrote the article. It is your responsibility to proof that stuff before it goes live. And if you don't, that is just sloppy journalism. So anyway, Banana, do you have anything in closing you want to say?
I hate this topic today.
Okay, well, let's talk about digging deeper. When's the next digging deeper going to? Have you got anything in the works that you can talk about anyway?
John, do you mind if I say it or?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I have John's my next guest. I just I have to come up with a little. I have to do my thing where I come up with an intro and stuff, and we're good to go. Okay. I finally fixed my internet. That was an expensive fix, but it works now. So
you're welcome.
I don't have dropout. Thank you. Appreciate that. Seriously. Yeah, so I just have to get on the ball and get creative, and we're good to go.
Yeah, so. Good. We have some other guests in the hopper too. For the show as well as the digging deeper.
I don't know if you're going to say it. Please don't.
I'm not saying. I'm just saying we've got some things in the hopper.
Just in case, I don't want you to mention that publicly.
No, that we're working on behind the scenes. I think if all the stars align and the I's get dotted, the T's get crossed, I think they will be some really good episodes. So you guys,
I will be excited if it comes to fruition. But like I said, we don't want to say anything, and hopefully it happens. That's all we'll say.
Yeah, well, we will be hopefully optimistic.
We'll keep you posted.
We haven't forgot about our promise about a celebration of breaking 100 subs. I think we're up to about almost 150. I think now maybe. Or somewhere close to that.
Just 2 away.
Yeah. So we
148.
Woo! Well, we were over 150, but a lot of them were those little hate raiders from last week, and I think they unsubbed after.
Those people, though.
Yeah, I loved him. We loved him.
Shout out to Domino and his trolling about his SpongeBob gangster SpongeBob picture.
Yeah,
that guy was a terrible troll. I hope he writes new material and comes back and gives us a hard time.
100%. Got me a new little screen name, Peepaw, which I love, and I'm
You're gonna run that into the ground.
I'm gonna run that shit. Yes, 100%. But we're still the biggest thing is working out a schedule, because Banana and I both work, and so
I work 6 days a week, Jack.
Well, I work 5, so but we're going to try to work out something and get it in the hopper where what we're going to do is we're going to play some interactive games where you guys can join us on stream and play with us. It's probably going to be on a weekend because weeknights are just too rough on us, but we're trying to get all that hammered out where our schedules will allow us to do that, and then.
Make sure you like, subscribe, and tweet out the stream, please.
100%. We appreciate all you guys that have hung with us here for the the get-go for today's
Shout out to
stream.
Zero Core, Anime Chris.
Yeah, we are appreciative of Toxic Dome, Marie, Canis,
Mari.
Miss Abby.
That's Canis Lupus is Doc. I mean, not Doc. Brick. Sorry,
Okay.
Brick.
Marie, and let's see who else.
Mari.
Creed. Of course, Nerdy John was here with us. And,
Abby.
Mountain Man joined us today. Who else? Looking back
Fake ass
through the
twat
thing here. Fake ass, yeah. Our what did he call us? Our he was our something about what was
War
it?
Chief.
Yeah, he was our
like his
War
tribal
Chief.
god
Yeah.
or something like that.
Tribal chief. He's our tribal chief. Yes, our tribal chief. So anyway, we appreciate all of you. Okay, listen, guys, I'm gonna get us out of here on that note because we don't want Banana to have an accident. So
I'll go to
anyway,
the hospital.
guys, listen. Keep your powder dry, and we'll see you in the funny papers.